Pablo Escobar, a Colombian drug lord and narco-terrorist, founded and led the Medelln Cartel. Escobar, known as the king of cocaine, was the richest criminal in history, with an estimated net worth of 30 billion at the time of his death, equivalent to 64 billion in 2022, during the 1980s and early 90s, when his drug cartel monopolized the cocaine trade into the United States. Pablo Emilio Escobar Gaviria was born on December 1, 1949 in Rio Negro, Colombia's Antiquate department. His father is Abel de Jasdari Escobar Echeverri, and his mother is elementary school teacher Hermelda de los Dolores Gaviria Bero. They had 7 children, including Escobar. Escobar, who grew up in Medelln, is said to have started his criminal career as a teenager by stealing gravestones and sending them down for sale to local smugglers. His brother, Roberto Escobar, disputed this, claiming that the gravestones were purchased from cemetery owners whose customers had stopped paying for site upkeep and that he had relatives who worked in the monument industry. Escobar's son, Sebastian Moroccan, believed his father's criminal career began with a thriving business of selling counterfeit high school diplomas, particularly those issued by Medelln Universidad Autónoma Latinoamericana. Escobar briefly attended university but dropped out without receiving a diploma. Escobar later became involved in a number of illegal activities with Oscar Benel Aguirre, including petty street scam, the sale of illegal cigarettes, the fabrication of lottery tickets, and vehicle theft. Prior to entering the drug trade, Escobar worked as a robber and bodyguard in the early 1970s, earning $100,000 by kidnapping and holding a Medelln executive hostage for ransom. Escobar began working for Alvaro Prieto, a Medelln-based drug smuggler, in order to fulfill a childhood ambition of having chol 1 million by the age of 22. He was estimated to have a bank deposit of chol 100 million, more than 3 million USD when he turned 26. In his book The Accountant's Story, Roberto Escobar explained how Pablo rose from middle-class obscurity to become one of the world's wealthiest men. Pablo started developing his cocaine company in 1975, flying out planes many times over smuggling routes into the United States, especially between Colombia and Panama. Pablo's close friend died during a flight landing, and the plane was destroyed, prompting him to purchase 15 larger planes, including a Learjet and 6 helicopters. Pablo rebuilt the plane from the wreckage and hung it above the entrance to his property, Hacienda Nápoles. In May 1976, Escobar and several of his men were apprehended while attempting to return to Medelln with a large cargo from Ecuador. They were apprehended with 18 kilograms, 39 pounds of white paste. Pablo attempted, but failed, to bribe the Medelln judge who were assembling evidence against him. After months of legal wrangling, he ordered the killing of the 2 arresting cops, and the case was later dropped. According to Roberto Escobar, this is when Pablo began his pattern of dealing with authorities through bribery or assassinations. Soon after, the demand for cocaine in the United States skyrocketed, prompting Escobar to establish more smuggling shipments, routes, and distribution networks in South Florida, California, Puerto Rico, and other parts of the country. He and cartel co-founder Carlos Leder collaborated to establish a new transshipment hub in the Bahamas, on Norman's Cay, an island about 350 kilometers southeast of the Florida coast. According to his brother, Escobar did not purchase Norman Cay. Rather, it was Leder's solo project. Escobar and Robert Vesco purchased the majority of the property on the island, which included 1 kilometer runway, a port, a hotel, apartment, boats, aircraft, as well as the refrigerated storage facility for the cocaine. The Medelln Cartel used this as a major smuggling route from 1978 to 1982. With the substantial profits from this strategy, Escobar was able to quickly purchase 20 square kilometers of land in Antigua for several $1 million. In March 1976, at the age of 26, Escobar married 15-year-old Mara Victoria Henao. Because the Henao family rejected the relationship because Escobar was socially inferior, the couple eloped. Their children were Juan Pablo, now Sebastian Moroccan, and Manuela. Virginia Vallejo, a journalist, published her book Amando a Pablo, Adiando and Escobar, Loving Pablo, Hating Escobar, in 2007, in which she reveals his personal involvement with Escobar as well as her boyfriend contracts with various presidents, Caribbean dictators, and high-profile politicians. Griselda Blanco, a drug distributor, is also said to have had a secretive but passionate relationship with Escobar. Several entries in her diary associate him with the nicknames Coque de Mirai, My Coke King, and Pola Blanca, White Cock. After becoming wealthy, Escobar created or bought numerous residences and safe houses, with the Hacienda Nápoles gaining significant notoriety. The luxury house included a colonial house, a sculpture park, and a full zoo with animals from all over the world, including elephants, exotic birds, and giraffe and hippopotamuses. Escobar also owned a home in the United States under his own name, a 6,500 square foot pink waterfront mansion at 5860 North Bay Road in Miami Beach, Florida. Escobar was elected as an alternative member of Colombia Chamber of Representatives in 1982 as part of a small movement known as the Liberal Alternative. Earlier in the campaign, he was a candidate for the Liberal Renewal Movement, but he had to resign due to Liberal Renewal Movement's strong opposition to Luis Carlos Galan's presidential candidacy. Escobar served as the Colombian government's official envoy to Spain for Felipe González's inauguration. Escobar's drug network quickly gained international renown, and the Medelln Cartel controlled a significant amount of cocaine entering the United States, including Puerto Rico, Mexico, the Dominican Republic, Venezuela, and Spain. The manufacturing method was also altered, with coca from Bolivia and Peru replacing Colombian coca, which had begun to be regarded as the lower quality than coca from neighboring countries. As the demand for more and better cocaine grew, Escobar began collaborating with Roberto Suárez Gómez, assisting in the expansion of the product to other countries in the Americas and Europe, as well as being claimed to reach as far as Asia. Escobar is thought to have founded the 1985 seizure of the Colombian Supreme Court by left-wing militants from the 19th of April movement, also known as M19. The siege, which was prompted by the Supreme Court investigation into the constitutionality of Colombia's extradition agreement with the United States, resulted in the death of half of the court judge. M19 was paid to break into the palace and destroy any records and data relating to lost extraditables, a group of Colombian cocaine smugglers facing extradition to United States. Hostages were also taken in order to negotiate their release, preventing lost extraditables from being extradited to the US for their crimes. At its peak, the Medelln Cartel generated more than 70 million US per day, approximately 159.5 million in today's money. This sum is approximately 29 billion per year, 55.5 billion in 2022 currency. The gang spent more than 1,000 per week on rubber bands to wrap the pile of cash they received, much of which was stored in their warehouse, while transporting 50 tons of cocaine worth more than $500 million into the United States every day. The business is simple. You bribe someone here, you bribe someone there, and you pay a friendly banker to help you get the money back, Escobar explained when asked about the cocaine business origins. According to the Forbes magazine, Escobar was one of the world's 227 billionaires in 1989, with a personal net worth of more than 3 billion USD, 6.4 billion USD in today's values, and his Medelln Cartel controlling 80% of the international cocaine market. Escobar is widely regarded as the primary donor for Medelln Atlético Nacional, which won South America's most prestigious football championship, the Copa Libertadores, in 1989. Despite being viewed as adversary by the US and Colombian governments, Escobar was regarded as a hero by many in Medelln, particularly the poor. He excelled at public relations and worked tirelessly to foster goodwill among Colombia's underprivileged. As a long-time sport fanatic, he was praised for constructing football fields and multi-sport courts, as well as supporting children's football teams. Escobar was also in charge of the constructing homes and football fields in Western Colombia, which helped him gain favor with the poor. He worked hard to cultivate his Robin Hood image, constantly donating money to housing projects and other civic activities, and as a result, he became well known among the residents of the area he visited. Some Medelln residents regularly helped Escobar avoid police capture by acting as lookouts, withholding information from authorities, and doing whatever else they could to keep him safe. During the height of Escobar's dominance, drug traffickers from Medelln and other areas were handing over between 20% and 35% of their Colombian cocaine-related income to him, because he was the one who successfully delivered the cocaine to the United States. Colombia quickly became the world's murderous capital as a result of the Colombian cartel's insatiable desire for dominance. With 25,100 violent deaths in 1991 and 27,100 in 1992, Escobar fueled the increase in homicides by paying his hitmen as a reward for killing police officers, 900 of whom died as a result. Following the execution of Luis Carlos Galan, the administration of Cesar Gaviria took action against Escobar and the drugs gangs. The police eventually pursued Escobar to surrender and cease all illegal operations in exchange for a reduced sentence and preferential treatment with incarcerated. In 1991, Escobar surrendered to Colombian police, putting an end to a string of previous violent operations aimed at pushing authorities and public opinion. Before he handed himself in, the newly approved Colombian Constitution of 1991 prohibited extradition of Colombian citizens to the United States. This legislation was divisive because it was claimed that Escobar and other drugs lords pressured Constituent Assembly members to pass it. Escobar was held at La Catedral, an opulent private prison with a football field, a large playhouse, a bar, a jacuzzi, and waterfall. On July 22, 1982, rumors of Escobar's continuous criminal activities in jail began to circulate. Authorities attempted to transfer him to more regular prison. Because of his power, Escobar was able to discover the scheme ahead of time and successfully flee, spending the rest of his life evading the police. Following Escobar's escape, the US Joint Special Operations Command and Central Spy began searching for him. They assisted in training and advising the search bloc, a special Colombian police task force tasked with locating Escobar. As the conflict between Escobar and the governments of the United States and Colombia raged on, Los Pepes, Los Perseguidos por Pablo Escobar, People Prosecuted by Pablo Escobar, was formed. The organization was founded by his opponents and former colleagues, including the Charlie Cartel and right-wing paramilitaries led by Carlos Castao, who later founded the Cordoba and Uraba Peasant Self-Defense Force. More than 300 of Escobar's associates, his lawyer, and his family were killed, and a large portion of the Medelln Cartel property was destroyed as a result of Los Pepes' vengeful campaign. Member of the search bloc, as well as Colombian and US intelligence group, had to coordinate with Los Pepes or related as both the search bloc and Los Pepes in their hunt for Escobar. This cooperation was allegedly carried out primarily through intelligence exchange in order for Los Pepes to bring down Escobar and his few remaining accomplices. One of Los Pepes' commanders was Diego Morillo Bejarano, also known as Don Berna, a former Medelln Cartel collaborator who became a rival drug lord and eventually emerged as the head of one of the most notable organizations within the Colombian Self-Defense Force. Pablo Escobar died in a shootout on 2 December 1993, 16 months after his escape from La Catedral, during another of his attempts to elude the search bloc. A Colombian electronic surveillance team, led by Brigadier Hugo Martinez, used radio trilateration technology to track his cell phone transmission and found him hiding in Los Olivos, a middle-class barrio in Medellin. The search bloc of 8 men raided the house by blowing the door open and pursuing Escobar as he ran to the roof to try to escape, as well as engaging in firefight with Escobar and his bodyguard. The two fugitives attempted to flee by running across the roof of neighboring house to reach a back street, but were both shot and killed by Colombian National Police. Escobar was shot in the leg and torso as well as through the ears, which killed him. It has never been proved who fired the final shot into his ear, nor whether it was fired during the gunfight or as part of a possible execution, with much speculation surrounding the subject. Some of Escobar's family members believe he committed suicide. Roberto Escobar and Fernando Sanchez Arellano, his 2 brothers, believe he shot himself through the ear. The pair stated in a statement about the situation that Pablo, he was not murdered because he committed suicide. Throughout the years he pursued him, he would tell me every day that if he was completely trapped with no way out, he would shoot himself in the ear. While many condemn Escobar's actions, many Colombians saw him as a Robin Hood-like figure who provided numerous services to the needy. His death was much more, and about 25,000 people attended his burial. His own estate, Haciendanapolis, has also been turned into a theme park. His life has also inspired or been portrayed in a variety of mediums, including cinema, television, and music.